Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Climate of Sport podcast with me, Claire Poole. It is a pleasure to be back with you. What we have got is an incredible interview and conversation I had over London Climate Action Week with two Adapt to Win athlete ambassadors, Pops Mensah-Bonsu and Danielle Alakija, both incredible Olympians. Pops is also a former NBA star, Danielle, Olympic runner, also a barrister, photographer. You can't imagine how accomplished these people are. And we really got into it around the role and impact of adaptation right now and how we've seen that massively take off and be a much stronger part of the conversation when it comes to sport. So enjoy this conversation and we'll be back with you next week for the Climate Hat Trick.
Welcome to the Climate of Sport podcast with me, Claire Poole. It's a pleasure to be back with you and with two really special guests today, being recorded during London Climate Action Week in the sweltering heat in London. I'm really pleased to welcome Pops Mensah-Bonsu, who is a former NBA player, coach and sport executive with a career that spanned some of the highest levels of international basketball. Born in London to Ghanaian parents, representing Great Britain on the international stage and playing professionally across Europe in the NBA. Following his playing career, Pops transitioned into leadership roles within sport and has his own foundation, which is focused on athlete development, community impact, and creating opportunities for young people.
Absolutely.
Amazing. And I'm also absolutely delighted to be joined by Danielle Alakija.
There we go.
Danielle Alakija, who's a British-born Fijian athlete of Nigerian descent, an Olympic athlete, part of the incredible silver medal winning 4x400 metre relay team at the 2011 Pacific Games.
Tell me that.
Pops is learning this for the first time. I love a bio that genuinely educates. Barrister, multidisciplinary artist. I'm laughing because it's insane. It's like a polyglot out here. And founder and CEO of the Solly Group, an advocacy-based think tank and creative studio that operates at the intersection of community, culture and crisis. Did I get everything?
That is it.
I'm pretty sure you didn't.
I feel like whenever I do these, I feel like I can only cover the first 10 accolades of our guests. And the rest are like, we actually need time to talk as well. Yeah. But both of you, incredible. I can't go into more of a conversation without saying you're both here as part of the Adapt to Win team. So Pops and Danielle help empower the next generation by using sport as a platform for leadership and positive social change around adaptation, especially that we need for the climate crisis. So that's our intros. We've got that ticked off. Let's just start with, how's life treating you both at the minute? How's your climate week? What's news with you both, first of all, before we get into the content? How are you both doing? How's energy? How's London Climate Action Week?
Ironically, it's hot.
Yes.
It's really hot. And, I said when we did our first panel this week that it was pretty ironic that it's London Climate Week and when we're in the middle of a heat wave. And, other than it being extremely hot, it's been a great week, a great experience. Love the fact that we can now, or I now understand that we can now merge sports with climate change, and being somebody that's championing that is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So I'm glad to be a part of it and look forward to doing more, actually.
Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Pops. Danielle, what do you reckon? How's things?
No, I mean, it's been wonderful. I think if there's one thing that, Pops has returned from his American vista, but I live here, I'm a Londoner.
Yeah.
And one thing that London's really bond over is it's a bit hot outside, isn't it? It's a bit warm, and I just feel like I've made so many friends this week because every time I step outside my house, we're all making eye contact, go, it's a bit hot, it's a bit hot. But Climate Week, we've got events being cancelled. There's two now. They've cancelled 2 events due to the red weather warning because they were in venues that could there was no adaptation to climate.
No adaptation.
And there was nothing they could do. And they were like, well, we can't actually bring 200 people into this room. Somebody's going to pass out.
Yeah.
So, on one hand, it's been so lovely to come together with so many like-minded people and talk about these issues and really see the urgency in people's voices. And on the other hand, I am absolutely baking.
Yeah.
So that has been that.
Yeah, it's just, it's hot, isn't it? And we don't want to talk constantly about buildings in London, but this is part of the wider conversation when places that haven't got the adaptations, we've all got insulated homes.
Yeah.
Dealing with this heat, it is insane. But I don't want this to be a purely, we're baking while we're recording this
We're
podcast.
melting.
So we are, our sort of the way into this for us is through sport. So I do want to start talking to you both about the sport stuff first, and then obviously we're going to bring in the adaptation and bring it round. So Pops, I want to come for you first in terms of your basketball career and the inspiration, where you started, how you got going, how you got to those levels. What like did it take? What motivated you through the challenges? Basically, my inference here is athlete career motivations, mindsets, etc., are exactly what we need for the climate crisis. And I love to hear athletes' stories about even examples of like overcoming challenges, the motivation to keep going during difficult times. Like, tell us some info.
Well, in short, I'm born and raised in London, England, and actually my first love as far as sports are concerned was track and field. And I was a high jumper and always thought I was going to be an Olympic high jumper. And always loved basketball. But when I moved to the US, that's when I realized, I really wanted to pursue a basketball career. My older brother had moved to the US on scholarship, and I always wanted to follow in his footsteps. So at 16, I left London, Tottenham lad, leaving London to go to the United States to pursue something. And, I think that was 1999. And I'm saying that because Danielle makes me feel like I'm super old.
Just for the record, I was 3 in 1999.
You see that? 1999, she was 3.
Okay.
And so, then, fast forward a few years, I go to George Washington University. I had a 4-year career playing there. And then I started my NBA career, which was, a big deal for me because coming from Tottenham and being of Ghanaian descent, that's not something typically that you would expect to say from a Tottenham lad, So, I did that, and for 10 years played in Europe, all across Europe, in Italy, France, Russia, Turkey, Spain, Israel, Greece, to name a few, and retired 10 years ago to become an executive. Now, I glossed over that because you mentioned something about adversity and adaptation and, being a part of this Adapt to Win campaign. It's, really opened my eyes to how athletes can use their voice to, really amplify the climate change cause. Now, for me, I've had 18 operations in my life and career. And, the way, if you see me walk, that's not my North London swag. That part is partly, injuries.
Surgery.
And every time I had one of those surgeries and I'm sitting on that operating table, I'm looking at the ceiling thinking, like, what's next? How do I overcome this? How do I adapt? And how do I figure it out? And, luckily, I think the resilience and perseverance, determination that you develop from becoming an athlete is you're able to apply it in other ways and in life. And, with that, I've been able to do that with my career, but also now with climate change, we're doing the exact same thing and adapting to the extreme heat, whether it's the heat or the flooding. And we're really trying to find these innovative solutions to combat it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the parallels, I think that's why the athlete voice is so strong with this. And Danielle, you're Fijian as well in terms of when you were younger in training and stuff, you've seen a lot of things firsthand. But tell us about that in the context of your training and your what ended up being Olympic and medaling career as well.
So I think it's really interesting when people they see, climate and being Fijian, and they go, oh my goodness, that you must have been really affected by it when you were younger. And I think my story is quite interesting because I wasn't. And, I'm 30 now, and I was living and training in Fiji from the age of, I moved to Fiji from London. Actually, I was born here, but moved to Fiji when I was like 6 months old. So hilariously, did not know that I wasn't like ethnically Fijian for a really long time. I wonder, they were like, no, you've got the passport, but you weren't actually born here. But you would think that, given the severity of the crisis that we're in, that it has been going on for a long time at that scale. And the reality is that when I was growing up, the notion of it being too hot to train just wasn't really a thing. The notion of being affected by storms, by flooding, all of those. Growing up, we had one Category 4 storm. And I remember literally like sitting in my house, nose pressed up against the glass, and the chairs are flying across the pool deck, and it was terribly exciting. Little did I know that my dad was sitting back there being like, oh my God, all of the furniture, the house, the cars, da da da. I was like, this is incredible. But we had one storm my entire childhood. In the last 6 years, I believe, in Fiji, they've had 3 Category 5 hurricanes. And there has been loss of life. There has been massive loss of property. And there's been loss of land. The beach erosion in Fiji is, with many small island states, is we're losing beach at about 0.5 meter a year. And that's the rate. And, you know, people hear that and they go, oh, well, 0.5 meter, that's not so bad, da-da-da-da-da-da. This is 5 years down the line, you know, you've lost, in some cases, 1/10 of the beach. And to have something, I mean, to really closely affect your home, I think for me it's difficult sometimes being in London, because aside from obviously these hellish weeks of summer that we now have, you know, we're very separated from the climate crisis. The reality is that, you know, people talk about it in the abstracts. They talk about 1.5 degrees. They talk about, you know, as wonderful as the Paris Agreement was. It was made up of lots of very big abstracted up numbers, and there was no humanity in it whatsoever. And because we're not seeing it directly here in the UK, people aren't really paying attention. And so you sometimes feel like you're sort of shouting into the void a little bit and being like, well, my home is sinking, you know, and people are drowning, literally. So for me, it was so incredibly important when Adapt to Win sort of came about, because the reality is we spent a lot of time talking about mitigation. The ship on that has sailed. We spent a lot of time talking about resilience, and that's all well and fine. But at the end of the day, adaptability is really our only path forward. We need to build a world which we can survive, and we need to build systems to survive the world that we've already created. Otherwise, we're all lost.
Yeah. I mean, I think we can't forget about mitigation, though. I think there's...
No, we can't. No, we can't bin it.
I think it's really important. That's an incredibly important part. But I think we need to now, to your point, up to probably only the last couple of years, the conversation pretty much only been about mitigation.
Exactly.
And it needs to shift, because now we are dealing with these things in
exactly.
parallel.
And I think we've reached some of these tipping points that we're talking about. So mitigation is, you're right, incredibly important. But at the same time, you know, if we focus solely on mitigation, we can only mitigate so far at this stage. And the reality is we still need to adapt in small ways, in big ways.
And much, much quicker than we have been. Like
absolutely.
The urgency, I feel as though the urgency behind adaptation has only happened reasonably recently. Like there has been, I was at the launch of the Well Adapted UK report, you know, a few weeks ago, and that's like their 4th edition, but this is the first time it's been picked up really, you know, a huge scale nationally of like there needs to be air conditioning in schools, in community centres, in hospitals, in prisons, in places where they're in old infrastructure and they need to shift. So this adaptation conversation obviously is really, really timely and important. Why for you both? Because we've kind of mentioned it there. There's lots of different ways you can intersect with this topic, right? You both have these personal stories that connect with it. Why, to this point around, like mitigation or even just awareness raising, or a lot of athletes choose to get behind a program, you know, for a certain, why was it adaptation for you both? Why was that over like a mitigation, over just raising awareness of really good causes out there? Is there something that you were like, this is the reason why Adapt to Win and adaptation is really key?
Well, I think the fact that it's adaptation and instead of a solve is key now, because I remember years ago when everybody was talking about climate change and we had to reach a certain benchmark before 2030, and you know we're 4 years away and nowhere near the benchmark that we need to reach. Now it's to the point that we're going to just have to adapt, which sadly I think is it's too late. It's essentially kind of too late that we could have put some pieces in place to help, you know, us live in a better world more comfortably. But it's like I said, it's ironic that we're in London and it feels like I'm in Ghana right now. You know, just how hot it is, and you would never expect that this is the case. When I looked at the weather before I flew in from New York and saw what the weather was going to be like, I thought I was looking at the wrong thing. I was like, this can't be correct. And so we've neglected climate change for too long. Now we're at a point where we have to adapt. And sadly, the powers that be are the ones that have to execute on that, because, you know, they also have to believe in it too. You can't have, and I'm glossing around actually what I actually want to say. But leaders are the ones that have to be able to put these execute on some of these promises that they've made. You know, and if you allocate a fund to fighting climate change, but only a small percentage of it is allocated to solutions, then again we're stuck and have a problem. So you know, I'm really glad that Adapt to Win has you know begun this campaign and that we're able to be a part of it. And you know, hopefully we're going to bring more athletes in it and raise more awareness, and you know, have people continuing to do their part as individuals and collectively, so that we can continue to combat climate change.
Yeah, absolutely. Danielle, anything to add on that?
Yeah, what was it you wanted to say?
Leaders. I mean, I would say this. I live in the United States, and if the president doesn't think that climate change is a real thing, then I'll tell him to come to London right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so when that kind of thing happens, when one of the biggest and foremost countries on the planet doesn't embrace climate change, then what is and then I think it's actually galvanizing the rest of the world. The rest of the world is coming together more so and really fighting. So, you know, here in like COP27 and what they're doing there, I have interest to be there now, because there was a time where I was apathetic to climate change, and now I know all the influence that we can have as athletes, and want to make sure that we're doing what we can within our reach.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Danielle, as an add-on to that, following on, the platform of athletes, like Adapt to Win, have obviously very purposely gone to athletes with this. Tell me some of your experiences of, like, you know, does the athletic career you've had get you into rooms to have these conversations that you think, if I hadn't been an athlete or a sports person, would I be in these spaces? Would I be invited in? Do you think it's the athlete platform that really helps? And if so, why? Why have we got this feeling towards athletes that we really listen to them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there are, you know, my athletic career has opened doors for me that, I mean, we'd be here all day. And it's really, really interesting, I think, because when I was running, and, you know, I ran shock horror sort of like pre-social media, like right pre-social media, just to make a point. But it was before, I say that to say that it was before, you know, people had like 100,000 followers on Instagram. And so when I was running, I always joke with people that I was really in it for the love of the game, because you had nothing to gain from being sort of a young sprinter at that time, and not like a men's 100-meter sprinter, because I mean, people, and understandably there's the drama of the 100 and it's very exciting and people love the short sprinters, but you get up to the 400 and people are like, that just looks like that really hurts, like I don't know why you're doing it. It doesn't, your face is not doing pretty things as you cross the line. But I think I never thought that the extension from that would be this wonderful platform that I would get to use to talk about all of these issues that are incredibly close to my heart. And I mean, athletes, Pops made a really good point that I've been stealing like all week it was on Monday. And he was talking about how when kids, like when you're at school and, you know, like a doctor will come in or a lawyer will come in and you'll be like, whatever, you know, eat your vegetables and do your homework. But an athlete will come in and you'll get so excited. And even if it's not a sport that you're into, even if it's not, it's just, and for me, I think athletics represents so many childhood dreams for so many people. And people look at athletes and everybody has had a moment where they've imagined themselves scoring that winning goal at the World Cup. They've imagined themselves winning that gold medal at the Olympics. And to see the actual human personification of that, it just, I think it ignites something in people. So to have that platform and to effectively hold that microphone, it is invaluable. And to take that and actually use it for good, use it to talk about things like climate change, use it to talk about, you know, investment in women and girls all across the board. I think you have a duty to do it. I really do. I think, you know, given the way the world is going, they pair Pops and Up together because, you know, he's the very reasonable, sensible one. And
actually, I'm not, but you're more outspoken than me, so it allows me to be seen as the reasonable one.
Just comparatively.
So maybe this was your idea.
I can neither confirm or deny.
He said absolutely not. They like lined us up on the first day, and Pops was like, yeah, you know, sensibly. And I was like, sport is political. We have to talk about the issues. This is incredibly important. But you do. I feel so strongly about it. I really think if you've been given this platform, if you've been given a position where people are listening to you, because that's so rare, and there are people who are much cleverer than I am that do not have these opportunities and do not have these spaces. So you have to go and seek out that knowledge, number one, and then you have to turn around and make an informed decision about what you're going to speak on. But athletes, man.
To your point, though, my two favorite athletes started out as 400-meter runners.
Me and
Or three. Michael Johnson and Usain Bolt.
true.
They were my first experience with the Olympics was the '96 Olympics when he wore those the gold cleats, and it's like it's been etched in my memory ever since. Huh?
Cleats.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. I said cleats, yeah. I forgot. Spikes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, they are spikes.
Sorry, guys. I've left London a long time ago, and so my references are all American now. Please forgive me, but
We'll put a little asterisk on the video, don't we?
Tottenham boy, born and bred. But yeah, they were that actually inspired me to want to be an Olympian.
Wow.
Yeah, seeing that, and they were both 400-meter runners, and then being at the Olympics with Usain Bolt was
Unreal.
Yeah, unreal.
I walked into an elevator with him at London 2012. I made the most embarrassing series of noises. Because he saw me looking at him, and obviously he was very used to it at that point. So he's so lovely. He was just like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" I was like,
Usain.
2012, you were
if you're listening, if you're there, I'm so sorry.
This is who it was.
I'm so sorry. It wasn't my fault. I was 16. I panicked.
I think a lot of people in that situation in a lift with Usain
It's a
Bolt
common
have done the
story.
same thing.
It was a
Pops
very
is
common
nodding.
story.
Basically,
Absolutely,
the same thing would have happened.
for sure. I would have told him that I think I could, he's not the fastest man in the world until he beats me.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But, that's
And he's
relative.
up for a challenge, I think, as well. So
Yeah, but my knees, 18 operations.
That was back then.
That was back then.
Okay,
I
so
could run
now-
back then.
Really?
Well,
What about now? We could race in the parking lot.
No, I didn't say you.
Okay,
I said
sorry.
Usain Bolt. I already know you're faster than me.
Come for me.
Or do we start here and then we can move on to you saying?
I'm going right to the top.
Let's just see. So we've spoken about athletes then. What about sports? So this is part of it as well, like sports organisations, sports tournaments, sports governing bodies, sports federations. You mentioned duty there in terms of taking care of their athletes, adapting. I don't think we've got time to get into the hydration breaks at the FIFA Men's World Cup.
We for sure have to. I thought that's where I was going.
Okay, good. I mean, I'm like, we've got 10 minutes left of recording time. We're going to put 8 of those to hydration breaks. But yeah, the responsibility of sport, or the duty, or just the desire to take care of their athletes whilst enabling us to see incredibly exciting sport as well.
Yes. My main thing with this, and I do think it's I'm not going to say failing, I think a stumbling block of the narrative around climate change and the climate movement. There have been some interesting choices, and I have a little funny thing that I say sometimes, and the Save the Earth campaign, which incredible work went into it, don't get me wrong. But it really should have been save yourselves, because the Earth is actually not going anywhere.
That's fine.
And at the end of the day, the Earth will be all right. She'll get a bit hot. She'll be a bit grumpy for a while. She'll wipe us out like a bad cold. And then she'll go back to being lush and blue and green and beautiful.
Regenerate. Yeah.
And where will we be? But dust in the wind. But one of the big things that I think is it's relied so much on selflessness. And while humans have an incredible capacity for selfless behavior, and I mean, we see the stories every day, and I do believe that everybody is inherently very good inside. Most people, almost everybody. I do think it is sometimes more effective to illustrate self-interest with people, especially in certain cultures. And certain cultures are a bit more individualist than others. The thing with the climate movement, and I'm coming back to sporting bodies and governance federations as well with this, is when we think about climate and sport, when we think about these federations and these governing bodies that are like, why would we care about that? It's how you make your money. If it is too hot for us to train, it is too hot to play football, it is too hot for the World Cup. God forgive me, I don't know what the figures are around the revenue that thing generates each year, but I'm sure it's staggering and could solve world hunger.
10 billion in the past cycle.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest World Cup ever.
Yeah.
Marketing-wise, anyway.
Yeah, geography.
And geography as
Number of
well.
Oh, yeah,
teams,
3 countries.
marketing,
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
Never mind what they're doing, flying them all up and down. Anyway, that's fine. We can talk about that later. But, I do make this point where when we ask athletes, because there was an interesting question that was asked on Monday, which was, why do you think that a lot of athletes don't speak about climate? And I said most of them are beholden to their sponsors, and they have to provide for their families. Most athletes are also responsible for supporting their communities, never mind just their families. It's a great tool for social mobility. But when you do rise socially, you bring a lot of people up with you. And the thing that I would always say to those sponsors, those federations, those governing bodies is, hey, this affects your bottom line, quite literally. So if you don't care for the greater good, if you're not interested for the wider reason of, I don't know, it's not pleasant when it's 45 degrees outside, maybe care because your bank accounts are going to get smaller.
And that's what's going to move people. The
Yeah.
commercial, like sport is now, professional sport is a business. That's what it is. So the commercial, the bottom line is going to move it. It's a very difficult reality when you have human beings at the centre of it. But when you have people who are paid a lot, especially say in football, soccer, Pops. If you
Football, I'm from Tottenham. Football. I actually can't stand the word.
Because if you're a Spurs fan, you're not going to be calling it soccer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like people are assets. It's become such a large game that it's an asset.
Capitalism.
And the assets protected, exactly. But then the hydration breaks. Go on.
Initially, when I was watching the first World Cup match, I was like, what is this? What's going on? And then I was like, okay, it's pretty hot where they were. I think they were in California somewhere. And, that made sense. But also, it highlights the fact that there have been World Cups all over the world. In Qatar, mind you.
In winter. Yeah.
Hard, exactly. But, we didn't.
Yeah.
The fact that they were implementing these hydration breaks is telling for a number of reasons, because it's telling because climate change is affecting the sport, that it's getting so hot that we're not able to play this beautiful game as continuously as we do. I always say this about football: the beauty of it is this continuity. You play for 45 minutes straight, and if there's a stoppage in the game, they just add time at the end, and that's what football enthusiasts love about the game. And seeing these hydration breaks, I felt like, yes, it's needed, but then also seeing a sponsor in front of it, I'm like, well, where is this for hydration, or is this just to make some more money? And I saw a stat yesterday, and I think our phones are listening to us because it just popped up on my phone, and it said FIFA stands to make about $175 million extra dollars off of the hydration breaks. They gave out these slots. You can have 4 30-second adverts in that time. It's a 3-minute break. You have 4 30-second adverts in that time, and then another minute of a sponsor break. And it just, and again, they're doing some of these hydration breaks in conditions that it's not needed. So the question remains: why are we doing these hydration breaks?
100%. I mean, we talk about it constantly, as you can imagine, in our corner. So my biggest concern for the hydration breaks is, up to now, they've been used as an adaptation when needed, when the wet bulb glow temperature hit a certain level, and therefore we need to protect players. Now that it's every match, even if they're played indoors, no matter what the temperatures are, fans are booing.
They're booing the hydration breaks?
Oh, as soon as the hydration break hits, the fans around the stadium boo.
Really?
To the point
that's
that
telling.
DJs are having to try and do something to cover
Drown
it
them
up.
out?
But my biggest concern from our position in terms of using the power of sport for climate change is that it's essentially toxifying what's a really important adaptation in sport, because when they're needed, they are literally the difference between people being able to continue play at a safe level and not. And my big concern is the legacy of this tournament is that they are going to be thought of in a way of commercial aspects. And then when they're put in place because they're needed, we see this a lot. Athletes push back against, like, we don't want them. We can keep playing. And a team mentality, you both know, you're both worked at the highest level of team. You don't want to let other people down. You don't want to say, like, everyone else seems fine, but I'm feeling a bit unwell. I'm not going to say anything. And even this week, before we've got a few minutes to finish up, but even this week in Malaysia, 2 rugby players died because of heat stroke, organ failure. And his manager, heartbreakingly, after he was taken to hospital, was like, he just scored a try and he said he was feeling unwell, but he was making his way to the centre line, because that's the athlete mentality, isn't it? Like, you keep going. And he collapsed. He was taken to hospital and really sadly died after. And that's the athlete mentality that I'm really concerned these hydration breaks are going to be toxified after the World Cup. And when they're needed, we're going to see more of that.
We're not going to have them.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much about that. I'm really conscious of time now, but there's so
I don't
much
think
we could
FIFA
talk
cares.
about.
They don't care.
They absolutely
It's all about, like I said, it's capitalists. They're going to want to make money. And so with these hydration breaks, and saying they're going to be toxified and people, their fans are booing them, I don't think FIFA cares about how they're viewed. It's the bottom line, like you said.
Yeah, 100%.
No.
There's so much we need to get into, but we're tight on time. I feel like we could talk forever. We might do a part 2. But there's 2 things I want to get to. One, we always finish with a quick fire round for you both.
Okay.
So that's going to take like 2 minutes at the end. But I also just want to finish. We've covered a lot of different areas, but the big thing I want to highlight before we go into the quick fire round is like people being aware of Adapt to Win, getting involved, other athletes, etc. Like, what's your call to action of how people can, is it following you? Is it amplifying the message? Like, what's the ask of people? Because I think it's lovely. It's amazing to have guests like you both who are incredible and we have a great chat. But like, how can we make it an action for someone to get involved?
So, I mean, gosh, follow the page, first of all. I mean, the page has got, you can follow us if you like. You will get lots of pictures of my dog.
Yes.
He's
That's
very
the content
handsome.
I'm interested in, to be honest.
Very handsome. No, but I mean, follow Adapt to Win. It's adapt to the number win_org.
Great.
I believe I've got that right. Yeah. But yeah, follow the page. There are lots of incredible athletes involved in the campaign. Pops is great. I talk way too much, so you can modulate that content if you want. But and for other athletes, I mean, God, get involved. I think my biggest thing, genuinely, like every time, and it happens more than you think. Every time I meet another athlete and I see someone and they're like, and I do a lot of climate work, and they're like, why? I'm like, what do you mean why? We've reached a point where it's too hot for swimmers to swim during certain parts of the day, and they are in the water. So what does that say about runners? And we to bring it to the community level very, very quickly. We had someone die during Hackney Half last year, and yeah, it's a famously hot race, but at the end of the day, a community half marathon, to my mind, is, and you have that spirit of sport. Yeah, you want to keep going. You want to do it. You're waiting to get to your friends. They're looking to cheer. But we have to, across the board, elite all the way down to amateur level, we have to get involved to protect this beautiful, beautiful sport that we all love to be a part of. Otherwise, we're going to lose it.
There's a call for action. Pops,
it's kind of hard to follow that, but Danielle said something earlier this week about, being a professional athlete and having this social responsibility of using your voice. To whom much is given, much is expected. And so for me, I always say, we were blessed. We were blessed to be professional athletes, be Olympians, and have influence and have a platform and network. And I believe that those blessings don't truly manifest until we're able to share it. And so for me, it's making sure I do what I can within my reach. My mom always said, don't be big for nothing.
Yes.
Don't be big for nothing.
Mom.
You know what I'm saying? So you let me make sure I do it, all that I can within our reach. And, if you have a platform as an athlete, especially a professional athlete, like you said, when they walk into a room, people prop up. So if you have a voice, use it.
Amazing. That is the action. Okay, we're going to finish on a quick fire.
Okay.
You're allowed one, both, but the rest I am going to push you on. I'm quite serious about this part. It's an either or quick fire round. Danielle,
Okay.
I'm going to go first. Are you ready? Gut reactions only. Training day or competition day?
Training day.
Nice. Local action or global influence?
Ooh, local action.
Nice. Tradition or innovation?
Innovation.
Oh, straight, quick. City skyline or ocean view?
Ocean view.
Now this, I had your photography in mind. Creating or curating?
Creating.
And dinner with a world leader or dinner with a local
Pops.
change maker?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought
Pops is like, I've got an answer for you. Dinner with world leader or local change maker?
I think world leader.
Nice. Not even one pass. Incredible. Well done, you, Pops. Home game or away game?
away game.
3-pointer or slam dunk?
Dunk.
I love how quick you are. No prevaricating.
If you knew anything
here at
about my
all.
career, that's what I did. So, yeah.
That's your main thing.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that people are always like, you two both straight in. Optimist or realist?
Optimist.
Nice.
With a realist approach.
You got it. It's a sort of 0.5, half for both there. Marginal gains or big, bold action?
Marginal gains.
Okay. Progress or perfection?
Progress.
being remembered as a great athlete or a great advocate?
I'm glad I didn't get that one.
Well, this is nuanced.
There you go.
I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna answer it.
I love it, but we also love the nuance.
Yeah,
Don't get me.
it's nuanced because I wanted to get to a certain level as an athlete with the understanding that if I got to the top of my craft, I would then have that influence. So when I say great athlete, I say it because I know now that when an athlete walked into the room, I was enamored. I was inspired, and so I used that platform for that. So, with the blessing of becoming a professional athlete, I understand that we have that influence. So I would say great athlete.
Thank you. So great athlete on the basis that great athlete made you a great athlete.
Exactly.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you both for joining me. Pops, Danielle, it's been such a pleasure to have you on the Climate of Sport podcast. And see you next time, guys.
This was great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm Claire Poole from Sport Positive. It is a pleasure to see you. Are you following me on Instagram and LinkedIn? You should be. Are you following Sport Positive on Instagram and LinkedIn? You should be. Are you listening to our weekly podcast, The Climate of Sport? You should be. Are you getting our weekly intelligence brief? You should be. There's so much that we are doing at the intersection of sport and the environment, and you can get involved in so many different ways. So head to the link in the bio now to follow, to engage, and to get involved. We can't wait to hear from you.